welcome to the Febar. I'm your host, Jack Jordan Maynard, and joining me on the show tonight is Mr. Jack Pickering. We'll be discussing the action that took place in Mexico over the weekend, which saw Oliver Rowland become victorious in a race where attack mode and late race safety cars decided the outcome of the race. We'll ask the question, is attack mode too overpowered, or is it something that we just have to deal with? Come and have your say on the only FE fan phone-in show. Join our Discord and come and have your say on the show. Good evening, Mr. Pickering. How are we?
I'm very good. I've just realised whilst I was doing my hair, like 5 minutes. We do our own makeup. It's
Hair and makeup, yeah, hair and makeup.
We do our own hair and makeup.
Oh, I forgot to put my blush on. Actually, forgot to put the blush on. Where's my contour? Can't remember. Don't think I put enough contour on. Did I get enough bronze?
I'll do one with eyeliner one day. I realised I needed a haircut, so I'll have new hair before the next.
To be fair, your hair's quite good. I'm
I like it. It's just quite long.
Yeah, I get that feeling. I had a haircut recently.
Yeah, no, you have.
And I was looking at this side here, and I'm like, ugh. Like
I can see it. I don't
know what's going on here. It feels like I should have some hair there.
Little cinema sins for people who watch at home. I don't see Jack throughout this entire thing. I see Jack on a 20-second delay on the YouTube channel, just like everyone else. So that's also how I watch all the VTs.
That's how the it's just how the FE bar works. Can't do it either way. My camera cannot be in two places. You know what's funny though, that you talking about makeup and stuff. I only know like contour. When you have a sister, right? You just learn these things, right? You just learn these things. Blush, foundation, and you feel like that's common. You feel like for a boy, maybe it's not common knowledge. We don't give a damn. We don't give a.
Right. Okay. This is
unless you're into makeup. But if you're not into makeup, then you don't give a damn.
Right. Okay. And this is going a little bit.
No, it's fine. Go on. We've got time. We've got 2 hours to kill.
But if you think about it, why are all sort of like hairdressers? All hairdressers, like when you go to the barbers, they're either women or like army rejects. There's no in between.
Big tough guys.
So it's one or the other. Like you don't just see like you don't just see like I don't want to say like a normal bloke, but you don't just see like a. Yeah, like it's either you got like an army reject, or you've got a woman hairdresser when you go into a barber's. And so that's the point I wanted to point that out. We're going to be talking.
I feel like this is
about that. We're going to be talking about do FA Cup matches
the replays.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that over the next 2 hours.
So what we'll do then, I think, as a live, because now we've gone on this tangent. That means we have to ask people, right, when they come on. We got to ask people about their favourite makeup, if they have a favourite makeup, if that is a thing, or what they ask their barber for when they go to the hairdressers. So when you go to the hairdressers, what do you ask your barber to do, or hairdresser to do?
One back inside, and then just like a little bit off the top, and then
so
like,
that's
and then usually you were like. You know when they bring out the mirror at the end, they go like that, and then you just nod and say it's fine, even though it's the worst haircut you've ever had. You just nod and say it's fine.
This could be a good one, because you know when you go to a hairdresser, I know we will talk Formula E.
And then like, do you want products in your hair? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I know. That my Facebook profile picture is just after I had a haircut in 2020. So
God, I need to update the one for the magazine at some point. But yeah, another thing that you could talk about. Thing.
No. Right, okay. You need to change my bio in the magazine, because I'm certain.
Tell me. You've been a second year for 4 years.
Yeah, uni student for 5 years.
You have to update it. You have to. Aisha made me update hers, because she was like, "Yeah, I'm not at high school anymore," and I was like, "Yeah, fair play."
Yeah,
I should have probably asked you for an update. So when we do the next one, we'll do an update. The other thing then we can ask before we actually then start talking about Formula E, because we do need to start talking about Formula E. You know, barber stories. Is there any odd barber stories? You know, when you're having your hair cut, has there been any strange stories or any stories that stick out in your mind?
I got offered a beer once.
You got offered a bit. So any strange stories? So if you're gonna come, if you want to come on, if you look, you can come on and talk about Formula E! Exclamation mark Discord if you're not already exclamation mark Discord. If you want to come on and talk about haircuts and what you say to your barber, what you get for as a haircut, you can. Right? We'll take haircut calls tonight, and we'll take Formula E calls. So that is because normally these shows, and that's the whole point of this show, by the way. So if you're new around here, please remember hit that subscribe. But it's a light casual show at the same time. It's just fun, chill, and we'll talk some Formula E. But it is serious, but it's also fun at the same time. Bit of both. So that's the fun side. So haircuts, Formula E. So let's start Formula E because we've got a lot to talk about. And I suppose
should we talk about the actual thing that we're supposed to be talking about?
Yeah, but you know, we've got 2 hours to kill, so we've got plenty of time. Right. So Oliver Rowland, right? Great result for him, obviously winning the race. If you don't know that he won the race, he won the race.
Did he now?
Yeah, he did.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it. I've watched it twice. I watched it twice just to work out double central. But obviously the main talking point is attack mode, right? And we saw it in the first race where Mitch Evans obviously came from last, but obviously he had that 4 minutes of attack mode left to use after that safety car in Sao Paulo, which basically elevated him to P1 and won the race. And obviously Oliver Rowland had the attack mode after the safety car, and obviously that propelled him to win the race. So the question is, and that's the question we want to ask you as well at home, that is attack mode overpowered? Is this a problem? Or is this the same as a safety car coming out in Formula 1, you get a cheap pit stop and you win the race, right? And we've seen that happen many times before in Formula 1 where, you know, a cheap pit stop is what people have needed to win a race, and we've seen it. So is that equivalent to the same? Because Jean-Eric Verne, right, and we're going to hear from Jean-Eric Verne in a couple of moments, he thinks that if you have attack mode and you go into a safety car and you have 5 minutes, you should keep that 5 minutes after the safety car. So you shouldn't lose any time under a safety car. So I'll go to you on that first. Do you agree? Do you disagree with Jean-Eric Verne?
Yeah, no, I sort of get it, but it'll be complex to how you sort of like freeze it. Like it's like how like a safety car comes out, so safety car graphic comes out, and then how do you freeze it on the graphics? Because that's like, because people will just be confused, and then when you have to reset it, some people may not be getting the same amount of seconds back that other people did. So,
but surely the graphics isn't the concern, right? The graphics is just for Formula E. Surely the software would just go. Someone just has to push a button.
Like, yeah. Maybe like that safety car button needs to. Yeah. Once you press the button for the safety car, yeah.
Your attack mode stops if you're in it.
The thing is, but if someone's on like 4 minutes 36 and someone's on 4 minutes 19, I think that they'd either round both of them down to 4 minutes, or they'd like round one up to 5 and one down to 4.
Why can't they just have 4 minutes 32 seconds left when they? That's what it was when the safety car came out. Why can't they just have that?
But, yeah, exactly. That's what they need to do. But I don't know how viable that really is with the software. That's the problem that I'm getting into. I'm
sure they're intelligent people, right? And I'm sure there's much smarter people than us who will be able to make sure that it's just a stop and it'd just be a system. It'd just be a piece of software, surely.
Yeah, but in terms
bit of coding.
Yeah, but in terms of what you originally put, is it too overpowered? Is it like taking a pit stop under a safety car in Formula 1?
Yep.
I'd say it's more like taking a pit stop under the safety car in Formula 1.
Yep.
But it's more like doing that in the Formula 1 game. So the thing is, when you do that in Formula 1, right, you're on soft tyres, you're going to have the advantage over most people. But
yeah. Or the right tyre.
It's not.
Well, you've just saved the time.
You're not going to scythe through the field like everyone else. Whereas if you're on the F1 game and the safety car comes out, and it's towards the end of the race, and you switch from hards to softs, and you go on the softs, you are going to side through the field because the AI will then
Yeah,
get
but
out
I
of the
feel
way
what
that, and that's sort of how it would feel on, and also DRS is far too powerful on the game.
yeah.
But that's
But
but
coming back to real life
that's
Formula One,
sort of
though,
what it would
surely it'd be the same.
feel
So
like.
say like Lando Norris is pitted, right? He's pitted, and Max Verstappen has decided to extend his stint by 3 laps, and in that 3 laps, Lance Stroll's crashed. Then and brought out the safety car. Then
So what you're saying is Miami,
all that. But
yeah.
like Lando Norris was winning before he pitted. He pitted first to stop Max having the undercut. Max has extended, right? Lando has caught up a second or two, but now the safety car's out. Max Verstappen's in and out of the pit lane, no problems. Won the race. Is that the same as attack for me? That's what attack mode is currently, right? Is that the same? If effectively it's the other way, the safety car's come out. He's got the attack mode, or he's still got to use the attack mode, therefore he's in the advantageous position.
Yeah.
Whereas, he wasn't in that position before. Mitch Evans was in no position to win Sao Paulo until that safety car came out. Oliver Rowland was probably not in the greatest position to win in Sao Paulo, Mexico, but did win, maybe thanks to the safety car.
I did have a point. I've forgotten it. Bear with. I will waffle my way.
Do you want to think about the point while we listen to Jean-Eric Verne?
Yeah. Do that. Let's listen to Jeff.
I'm sorry, I have something to add actually about the attack mode. I thought some journalists will ask the question, but maybe some of them are asleep. I mean, when I mentioned about the randomness of the attack mode, I was expecting one of you guys to ask me, okay, so what should we do? So then I guess I have to say, but with what happened to me and some other drivers, last year the attack mode was kind of useless thing to have, so you wanted to get rid of it as soon as possible, and it was the same for everybody. You were not getting a lot of time, you were not getting a lot of positions, it was very difficult to pass. Now it's a complete new game. You actually do gain a lot of time and a lot of position in attack. So now when you are in a situation where you activate your attack and something out of your control, like a car is crashing right after, or there is some elements on the track that requires a full course yellow or a safety car or a red flag. Let's say you're in your 6-minute attack zone and at 30 seconds after you have a full course yellow, you basically lose 5 minutes out of goodness of this attack mode, which is a massive, massive loss compared to anybody else that had their full attack mode. So if there was one change that should be done is that, let's say you are in your first minute and then you have a full course yellow for the 5 minutes remaining of your attack, then I think it would be fair that the driver that got penalized by that could have the possibility of still use the remaining attack that was not used during full course yellow.
So yeah, really interesting there from Jeff. So basically he's saying it's unfair. If I'm got a 6-minute attack mode and 30 seconds later, full course yellow, safety car's out, I lose my whole time. I should be, and then Bob behind me, he hasn't used it. He's now right close to me. He goes and uses his attack charge, and he's got 6 minutes, and he's blitzed past me, right? And I lost mine through no fault of my own. So why can't I have it back? So is that? Do we agree with that, or is that just tough luck?
I don't think we've had a Bob in Formula.
We had Bob Varsha, yeah.
Bob Varsha, yeah. We haven't had like a Robert. We've had Robert Schwartzman in the rookie test in Valencia, and then that sort of caused. I mean, we had a very fun week in Valencia after Robert Schwartzman took to the track. But yeah, the thing is that they and this is the point that I was going to make, which I did sort of write down during that to make sure that I didn't forget it again, is that they all have the same. It is the same for everyone. They all have the same equal opportunity to take attack mode, and so yeah, I think is it overpowered? Maybe a little bit, but they all have it. And when that safety car came out, we thought that all the drivers that had just taken attack mode were done. And the thing is, so some of them were the ones who took 6 earlier on and then took the 2, and then the safety car came out. And then also people like Lucas Di Grassi, who didn't take any attack modes, and then lost any opportunity whatsoever to do that. Also, I was slightly wrong. I thought if you didn't use your attack modes, you were disqualified. You just get given a 10-second
time penalty.
drive-through.
And
No,
Degrassi got
no,
this.
Stop, go,
No,
drive.
yeah, sorry. They got given a 10-second time penalty. That's what they were given.
Really?
Yep, only a 10-second time penalty. Lucas Degrassi.
I remember back when.
Yes,
when
they did. They did.
when
They did used to get
Crafted
disqualified.
Interior in season 7, and I think people got 50-second penalties.
Yeah, I think because it was through no fault of their own, maybe a lesser penalty was
Yeah, but it
was
wasn't
applied.
any of their-
However,
it was-
Lucas Degrassi was given a
lean.
drive-through penalty because he didn't take his second one. Now, that is an interesting story that I haven't been able to uncover, and I am gonna ask either Jack Smith, who comes on at 9:45, or Nick, if they know why Lucas Degrassi failed. I'm assuming maybe he went to take it, maybe missed some loops, and maybe that's the reason why he didn't take his first one. But to go into that stage of the race and still having both to take just seemed crazy. Like something had to have gone wrong, and there's got to be a story there. Right, let's hear from Oliver Rowland actually, because actually let's talk to you, because you think Oliver Rowland could have won this race, whereas Oliver Rowland himself doesn't think he would have won this race if it wasn't for the safety car. So why do you think he would have won it?
Okay, I said Ollie Rowland probably could have won the race even without the safety car because of how powerful attack mode is at the moment.
Yeah.
And then you immediately told me.
Well, what was he said in the interview?
What he said in the press conference, that he was down on power. No, down on a.
He didn't say. He just said he might not have been efficient enough.
Yeah, he wasn't efficient enough, so maybe not. Maybe wouldn't have been able to get past the Porsches. And so that sort of made me think, oh okay, yeah, maybe he wouldn't have won. But I reckon if he had the same energy as the Porsches, him being in that attack mode that late in the race, I think he would have still secured the win.
Yeah, he could have. He could have if he did fly through him and got past him quite quickly. Who knows? But then he might have had to have He might have to have driven slower.
Never know,
Because if you get to the front, you just need to be at a snail's pace. Basically, you just need to slow the pace of the race down and save energy and race your race and make it as difficult to overtake as possible. So that was that. I mean, I'm interested. We're going to take some phone calls now after we listen to Roland. I am interested to what people think of the current race and how powerful it is in terms of watching the race. Is it still entertaining knowing that they're just going to blitz through? Like DRS, you know he's going to pass them. It's basically like DRS. Is that as fun as what it was before, or are you enjoying it?
Better than Peloton.
It's better than Peloton. Yeah, better. Well, I still think we still get a Peloton style race, but just not as bad. Because even at the beginning, they're still saving energy.
We got that sort of in Sao Paulo. We didn't get that.
I think we got that in Mexico. We're like watching the start and seeing how bunched up they were. They weren't side by side.
When they all were bunched together at the start.
No. They weren't. But they didn't spread out, if that makes sense. So it wasn't Peloton style. I'll give you the due. It probably wasn't
spread
Peloton.
out though.
They did eventually, but in the first sort of 6, 7, 8 laps. Yeah, I would say in those first set laps, I would agree with you. At that point, I would say then maybe things started to happen. But anyway, let's hear from Oliver Rowland and hear what he thought after taking victory in Mexico.
Yeah, I think the race was a good one. You know, in the beginning, we're trying to kind of save a bit of energy and stay calm. I think in terms of the safety car in the end, there was an element of luck, but I also lost nearly 6 minutes of attack mode. But I do honestly think I would have found it hard to win without that safety car, because I was struggling a little bit to be efficient after sort of 10 laps. But yeah, I mean, in Sao Paulo, I was had the opposite. I was extremely unlucky when I was doing a good race and with the technical infraction that we had. But yeah, we've come here, we've done a solid job in qualifying. We were there in the race to pick up the pieces with a little bit of luck. But yeah, I had fun out there, and the podium was incredible.
Out of interest, how well do you think you would have done had that safety car not happened and you'd taken the attack mode?
I think it's hard to say. I don't have the exact numbers on energy. I think I would have got back to them, but I think had I passed them, I would have consumed too much and struggled to maintain the lead, is my gut feeling. But obviously, when I took it already in half a lap, I noticed how much I'd sort of gained on Jake. I think my strategy at that point would have probably been to get to these guys and then consolidate a podium. But yeah, and then when I got the chance to go for it, I just went for it.
Coming out of the safety car with, I think it was just over a minute of attack mode there, did you think you could get all 3 cars knowing that this new attack mode is a different beast?
Not really. I was going to give it a go. But yeah, I just put everything I had. It was obviously a little bit easier because I had we weren't really worried about energy after that. So I was able to kind of just go full gas on all 3 corners and give it a go. And that's what I did. But yeah, I mean, this is the end result. So it's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a bit unsure whether or not he would have won. He was actually a bit unsure whether or not he would have got through even with the with the 1 minute left, whether he actually would have got to the front of the field, which I thought was quite interesting, Mr. Pickering. But what did you make of Oliver Rowland? I think he's brilliant, though. What a driver he is, because he sort of went missing a little bit in Mahindra, but no fault of his own, really. He's just on fire.
Yeah, I think my feelings on Ollie have been made very public on this show. That when he was at Mahindra, he wasn't great to chat to or to interview. Whereas when I interviewed him, it would have been about 12 months ago, because it was just after he got the podium in Diriyah, and it was in that gap between Diriyah and Sao Paulo. And he was like a different person, and he was such a joy to chat to then. And so, yeah, Ollie, I think when he came back to Nissan, he came home, and yeah, and it's just been a match made in heaven, and we saw that last season. We're seeing it again this year, and the thing is, people are calling that Nissan is like dark horses that they could win the title. Yes, it's very evident that Porsche, I'd say at this point, have the best powertrain, but Nissan aren't that far behind, and so I don't think that Oliver Rowland is a dark horse in this championship. He can very easily win this championship.
Fully agree.
And so yeah, it will be a dark horse if the other 3 Nissan drivers won the championship.
Yeah.
But not Ollie. Ollie will be. I am fairly confident saying Ollie will be in the title fight coming to London.
Yeah, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some calls, and then we'll go for a first break. We'll probably do a first break after our first caller. But if you haven't done this before, if you've never been here before, or if you have been before and you're not in the waiting room, come and speak. We need you. This show does not work without you, right? So we need you, because we need you to call. So !Discord if you haven't already in the chat. It does work this time, because I made sure that it worked. So if anyone wants to do that, greatly appreciated for any new ones. Also, please remember to hit the subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed the live watch-alongs that Joshua Birch and Edward Hunter. Edward Hunter's not here at the moment, so we're going to be picking you from random, and we don't know all of your names, because normally Ed does the name checks for us, so we will be asking 1 or 2 of you, because we've got a couple of people in the waiting room and 2 first-time callers, which I'm really, really, really looking forward to. And so if I think they are.
No, I think they've been on before.
I don't know the second one.
Once or twice.
There's 1 or 2 that's been 1 or 2 that have been here before, but I think 1 or 2 first-time callers. So if you want to come and have your say, you're more than welcome to !Discord. Come join the waiting room, and we will get you on the show. But we can't do the show without you. So please do it, because it'll be very boring, and me and Pico are going to be filling for a very, very, very long time. So
stop filling.
Stop filling. Right, let's get SB10 in, because he also makes YouTube videos. I kind of want to ask him some questions, to be honest with you. Hello, SB10. What is your actual name?
You know, that's the first time someone's really asked me that question. I'm not sure if I want that on the internet, so y'all can just call me SB if you want.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It's just
question: was it SB10 because Sam's number was that Samba 10? Jaguar, or
it was, yes.
Okay,
it's a little unfortunate now that he's not 10 anymore.
Nope.
But it's whatever, you know.
Take his other 2 numbers off. So if you take 10 - 2, that gives him his current number.
There we go. Yeah.
But
that works.
But yeah, first time caller. What took you so long? That's our question.
It's just mostly been the timings, you know.
I take it you're from
it just
America,
hasn't
which
worked
is
out.
lovely to hear.
Yeah. It usually is. I don't know if y'all usually do it at this time,
Yeah, we do 8
but
p.m. on a Monday. Yeah.
I've never just been free for a session of Febar. So this is a first.
Oh, I'm glad. We're glad you can make it, SB10. We're very happy, and we'll talk about your YouTube videos as well. We'll do that at the end.
Boy.
But no, because I have some questions. Because you did the one. Well, I'll get to it. We'll get to it at the end. I'm sure. I'm just off the top of my head. I have a head. Well, you did one recently about the banned Nissan car, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But there's a different video that I want to talk to you about a little bit later on, actually. But what do you want to talk about?
I mostly wanted to talk about Jake Dennis, actually.
Yep,
because
let's
Dennis could have won this race. Like, he was up there for most of the race. I mean, he had the Porsche powertrains, and when DaCosta and Wehrlein passed him, they did also have attack mode.
Yep.
So it's possible that if he held them off, like, he would have been passed anyway. But still, it's kind of been a while since Dennis has had a good showing. Like, I looked it up. His last podium
Was a long
Mazzano
time
last
ago.
year.
Yeah, Mazzano.
yeah, it's been-
Yep, it was.
Oh my
Yep,
God.
you're 100% right.
It's been a rough last
Yeah.
8 or 9 months, or however long it's been, since
Yeah.
then, and he hasn't really shown as great a speed since he has in that one Duria race last year, where he won by 13 seconds.
Yep.
And I guess part of that is just because, I mean, none of us were expecting him to repeat season 9, I assume, because
Yep.
you know, they were a customer team. Jaguar, look at their customer teams, they beat them, and
Yep.
you know, all of that politics. But you know, it's been a while since we've seen him have a good showing, and I think this could possibly be a bit of momentum he can carry into the next few weeks, because they are new circuits after all at Jeddah.
100%.
yeah,
I'm going to argue that I think Dennis had a decent race, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, I think it was a good showing. Yes, he got himself to the front. So basically, Dennis did the undercut strategy, but the undercut didn't
Yes.
work, right? Effectively, he took his attack mode. He was the first of the attack modes.
I will argue
Go on.
that I think the undercut did work on the first one.
Okay,
on
so
first.
because he got him up to second.
He got him to the
He
lead.
got him up like 8,
Well, he
9
was-
positions from where he was.
I don't think he was that far down. I think he was fifth or
He
sixth.
was like lower.
He
end of
started
top 10.
P7, I
Yeah,
believe.
he started
I think he was
P7, and I think he got up.
And then
I think he was
Oh, I
about fifth
thought
or
he lost
sixth.
a couple
I think he was
places
about
at the
fifth or
start,
sixth when
but-
he took the first one.
Yeah.
It was behind Vern, so I think he was sixth. So Dennis
There
took
was
his...
that strange bit of strategy there with Muller too.
Yes.
I thought that was brilliant from Andre, to be honest. I thought, make Muller be the wingman, and it's nice to see that Nico was up there with Jake, and that he is giving Jake a good run for his money.
Yeah.
I know, like Jake's had this like revolving door of teammates, and so but yeah, now he's got, and this no disrespect to people like Norman Natter who've won Formula E races, Andre Lotterer, who is a legend of endurance, and all his other teammates, including Max Gunter.
Yep.
But back in his first season, but he's had this revolving door of teammates, and he's now got Nico Muller, who it's looking like he can actually like push him.
Yeah, he ran a really impressive race in my opinion. And I know in the end, you know, I think he got together with Evans and he sort of fell back a little bit. But yeah, he was up there for most of it, and I think he'll be big this season.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised with the strategy slightly because it did scream number 2 driver for Nico Muller, and it was very. I was like, oh, he's already accepting being like this wingman to Jake Dennis.
It would not surprise me if that was written in the contract.
Yeah, but you know Muller, because you know Muller in himself is a strong driver, and it'll be interesting to see what he does do this season. I do think he'll be a strong force and will be Dennis's strongest teammate that he's ever had. But obviously, going back to Dennis's race, he took his first attack mode, and he was the first one of the leading runners to do it on lap 13, which Verline then followed in on 14th, which then obviously got him up, and then he managed to get to the lead, but then eventually Verline and DaCosta got him back when they took their attack modes, and he just kind of fell away from there, and Roland got him towards the end, obviously. To win the race. So it was a decent race. I just don't think the strategy quite worked out for him. But he's definitely someone with this Porsche powertrain. And Porsche themselves look strong, but however, they look stronger than Andretti, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's just the supplier customer relationship now in Formula E. Because I mean Nissan, well Roland at least, does look stronger than the McLarens.
Yep.
Obviously the Envisions and the Jaguar. I mean Jaguar had their own issues that race, but for most of the season they've looked stronger than Envision. But
well, for a very long time they've seemed stronger than Envision.
It does sort of seem that since Envision won the championship, that was the last time that the customer teams were properly able to like take it to the.
Again, though, how much of that do you think was Cassidy's doing?
I think, I mean, like, we know how good Nick Cassidy is, and that's why he got the promotion from the Envision team to the Jaguar team, and so yeah, I think Nick was a huge help of that, and yeah, but the thing is, like, in that season where Envision did win the championship, Buemi had a very solid year, considering that he had sort of whittled out at Nissan for the couple of years before, and he came to Envision, and he had a solid year, and the last couple of years alongside Robin Freins, Envision just hasn't looked the same as it did when Cass was there.
No, 100%.
I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just agreeing with the point. Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know how much the Gen 3 car really suits Buemi and Freins all too much. Because, I mean, when Freins was at Abt, he was thoroughly done in by Muller. And I mean, Muller's a really good driver, but I think there are just some drivers who have adapted really good to the Gen 3 car, and others who are falling behind a little bit. I was gonna say, you know, someone like Mortara could have been like that, but obviously he's come on a bit stronger. So, I don't know. I think the attack charge and different aspects they introduced this season will really throw a wrench into things.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm not expecting Peloton to be as much of a factor this season.
Yep.
Hopefully, at least.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. But I guess time will tell when it comes to Envision. But if they don't have results this season, I'm expecting a bit of a shift in the driver lineup.
Yep. I have to ask you. This is what I did tempt. I was very interested. So I'm sure you made. What was it? There was a song. You did like a video. I'm sure you did a video, and it was there was like music behind the video. It was like your intro for the season. I can't remember. It was a good song. Oh, I've forgotten the song.
What was it?
Did you? I'm sure.
Are you talking about my review of last year?
No. I don't know.
Last season?
I'm now trying. Faded. That's the one. Faded.
Faded. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So.
That
well
was
done.
a couple of years ago.
No, it wasn't Faded. Faded was recent, I thought.
Or was Faded this year?
Yeah, Faded was this last season. The music video.
Oh, I thought
So, okay, here's my question.
I went back.
My question is obviously around YouTube copyright laws.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a copyrighted song. Like, how did you use it?
Jack wants to know how to get.
How did you do that, or did you just adhere to not making any money on that video?
Well, to tell you quite honestly, I only hit like 1,000 subscribers like a few weeks ago, so I wasn't gonna make any money off of that anyway.
Oh, okay, fairs. So it was just more fun. It was just curious because, you know, as soon as you do that, it's like bam, like copyright strike, and I was like, it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, but I mean that is a bit unfortunate, but like for my channel, I'm really just doing this for fun. I'm not expecting to make any money out of it.
I just saw it and I just thought, you know, I wonder. It was hilarious, and when you popped up, that was the first thing that came to my mind. That video, Ask him about that video, because I was like, because obviously you're doing it for fun, but you don't want too many copyright strikes on your. I think it's like if you get free, then you're done basically, or something like that. Like, so that was my question. But very good. Keep up the good work though. On the YouTube.
You guys too. Your channel is one of the very few out there with good quality Formula E content. So
we appreciate that.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah, I love you guys' work.
Thank you, and thank you for calling. And hopefully it's the first of many.
Yeah. I hope so too, guys. Have a good day.
Perfect. Have a good evening.
Right. Cheers, mate.
Talking to y'all.
Splendid. Okay, I think it's CRM Doodle. Is it CRM Doodle? Because I can't tell.
Yes.
It is. I can tell by the picture, but I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a first-time caller. CRM Doodle, can you hear us? Because you're currently on mute. If you are, welcome to the FE bar. You're a first time. I'm sure he is. This is the moment when they're in the waiting room, but then they've been waiting for so long that they just go away, come back, go and make themselves a cup of tea, don't realise that they're online, and oh, hello, welcome to the FE bar. What's your name?
My name is Connor Daly, but not that one.
Connor Daly's on the show, everybody! Oh, Connor Daly! Thank you so much! Oh, mate! We've been dying to get you on the show!
So what is Joseph Newgarden's phone number?
Yeah, basically, Indy 500, what's it like?
I know, it's so sad, because because nobody else knows anything about motorsport. I know I share a name with, a racing driver, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, but
yeah,
no one ever knows
who it is.
We do now.
Well, we do.
Yes,
we do. That's good. No, that's hilarious. That's actually quite funny. To be fair though, Stingray Bob, like, if I ever have a son, I don't want to call him Stingray, but it's like, oh, should you just put Stingray in there? What a name!
Stingray Rob.
Stingray Rob. What a legend.
Greatest name in all of
That's
motorsport.
such a name. I was like, wow. Anyway, Mr. Connor Daly, what would you like to talk about?
Just more about the tack mode, really.
Yes.
Because I think it's sort of the main thing.
Yeah, it is, I think, coming out of the first 2 races, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on it are basically enjoy it, because I don't think attack mode in this form is going to be around in Gen 4.
Okay.
Because I think the main advantage you get with attack mode this year is not only the extra power, but the extra traction of 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And I feel like because Gen 4 is going to be all 4-wheel drive all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
so. We're going to lose they might replace it with attack charge, who knows.
Yeah.
But if it is, if it does stay, or if it, changes or whatever, but I think we should enjoy it now, because I think it's a lot more fun than attack mode in Gen 3 and Gen 2.
Yeah.
That was a question I was going to ask, actually. Like, so are you in, because last season they got attack mode, but you could argue the overtakes weren't guaranteed, but when they pulled off an attack mode overtake, you're like, oh, well done, son, like, great move. Whereas this time it's like DRS, they're just driving straight through. So I didn't know how fans felt.
I feel like the attack mode didn't really help too much. I feel like it wasn't like, it helps, but like most of the places where you were making moves was the same places where you're making moves normally. You just couldn't execute them slightly easier. But with the all-wheel drive, you can pull moves off basically anywhere because you're so much quicker.
Yeah.
And it just feels a lot more like exciting, of like someone can come from so far back, and then I think it's more interesting, and I think there's more of a strategic element because it's so powerful. I think you're going to see people leaving it later and later into the race.
I agree with you on that. Like, I feel like you need to wait for the last 6 laps to use your attack mode, because one, you're waiting for that safety car just in case. But then
I mean, that's the risk, isn't it? Yeah, because there are a bunch of people who didn't use it all. But
and that's what people said in the chat, is wherever they said there's more of a risk with attack mode than Formula 1, because safety cars in Formula 1 don't happen that often, whereas a safety car in Formula 3, given the nature of the circuits, can happen more frequently.
That said, I was surprised that we had a safety car at Mexico.
Yeah.
Because safety, like Mexico's sort of been that race the last
quite
few
clean.
years, sort of been this like, yeah, okay, this is a race. This truly is one of the races of the season.
Yeah. And
it's just like nothing really happens at Mexico, and then
we get 2 safety cars.
Then we get 2.
We get 2 safety cars
lasting a grand total of 2 laps.
And
But yeah, I think that's another advantage of the attack mode currently, where it's like, normally Mexico is quite a,
Yep.
a parade,
Yep.
but not. I don't think in the peloton style, quote unquote, where it's like, what's it called? The American track that's really wide. I forget what it's called. Portland. It's not like Portland where you've got the entire grid 22 wide going into turn one. It's not that type of peloton.
Yeah.
It's peloton. It's a one-line track and everybody's following each other. But the attack mode allows you to.
We still might get those pelotons when we get to Shanghai and so forth, but that's a while away yet. And we don't even know what Miami's going to be like, to be honest with you.
We'll have to see if the attack mode spices that up.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
100%. Jeddah has like a risk of it being, but they've stuck. From what I've heard, they've got two chicanes on the front straight.
Yeah, it's like after the final
got,
corner of Formula One, there's 2 more chicanes they've put in, like on the rundown to turn one.
I understand one. I don't understand two, if I'm completely honest.
I mean, it is quite a long straight, so maybe they're trying to.
Yeah, but they've put a bus stop in the run from what I think is like turn 25 or something to 27, because it's like they count every single kink there as a corner.
Yeah.
For some reason, but
that track does not have as many corners as they say it does.
No,
indeed. We didn't ask SB10, so I have to ask you. So, question: haircuts.
Oh, there we go.
Haircut. What do you ask your barber?
Generally, I ask for 3 on the back and sides, and then short on top. But I'm kind of losing the hair, so that's probably not going to last very long.
Yeah.
Any interesting barber stories? Like, when you've been sat there and they're cutting your hair and they're talking about their life and anything that you remember distinctly, or are they all just laddered into abyss?
I do not speak to the bar. I just...
Some people, sometimes they try and speak to you. They're like, what do you do? My kid said the funniest thing this day.
I'll make conversation if they start making conversation. I'll join in the conversation, but I don't ever initiate the conversation.
I'm very much the same as well.
Fair enough.
And I haven't heard any interesting stories.
No interesting stories. It's just interesting, isn't it? So free is quite. I don't know what mine is, to be honest with you, and that's because I'll tell the story.
You've literally had one just for this show.
This is okay, right? So this is the funny thing, right? I've never paid for a haircut in my life. My mum is a hairdresser. So my mum's a professional hairdresser, so she just knows what she's doing. But my mum's also a teacher, by the way. So when I was younger, when I was a little lad, my mum was a hairdresser. But then as my brothers and sisters got a bit older, then she decided actually she wanted to become a teacher. She did the qualifications, and she's now a teacher. But obviously, she's still got the trade of learning how to be a hairdresser. So I just go, Mum, need a haircut. Paul, perfect. Cheers, thanks. And she does a very good job. So I don't really. We just talk about life when I'm on there's no like awkward chats. So I've never experienced that. So therefore, it's quite interesting. Try and find out other people's stories, because I've never had to go to a barber and say, "Can you do this for me?"
When I'm there, occasionally I get them to do my beard as well.
Oh yeah, my mum started doing that as well. It's quite funny actually.
The thing is, I'm quite ticklish.
Oh no!
I've got.
Oh dear!
I'm sat there just like tongue inside of my cheek, just going, don't fucking smile. Don't.
You idiot!
Sorry. Third time. Woo!
Come on, we're trying to run a professional show here.
Yeah.
Terrible. I need a bleep button. That's what I need.
Yeah.
I need a bleep button. Not for my host. It should be from the people who accidentally forget, not the.
No.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
In the bin bin.
Oh well, Connor. If there's anything else you want to add apart from that, thank you for coming on. What took you so long? We need to have you back. Both you, SB10, and yourself, been brilliant callers. So make sure you come back on.
Okay.
Oh, that was the most. I'm never coming on this show ever again. Can't stand it.
Oh, no, that was absolutely perfect.
Right, so I'm going to go jump in an IndyCar. I'll speak to you later. Bye-bye.
Speak to you later. Right, see you later. Thank you so much for coming on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, so I think we'll power through because we should have Nick at 9 at 9. So if
one
we
more
get,
caller, then a
we'll
break,
get we'll
and
get
then-
Nicky in. We'll have a break. I've got a good old no googling question for us to do in the break, and then hopefully we'll be joined by our colleague Nick Golding from Racing News 365. But until then, let's get Nicky in. I think because Nicky will probably fill this one, and then we've got some couple others that we'll have after the break. Nicky, welcome to the FE Bar. How are you?
Hello. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I need to mute my tablet. Hi, boys.
Hello,
Right.
hello. Yeah, sorry, no Ed to sort of pre-warn us today. He's sent us a text to say where he is, but I haven't read it.
I mean, I can read it if you want.
Nah, it's fine. This is probably not interesting. But we love you, Ed. So Nicky, we'll throw it straight over to you. What would you like to talk about?
A bit of everything tonight, but not a rant for a change.
Bit of everything, but not a rant. Go for it.
I'm leaving the rant to Natalie tonight. She gets the honour.
She gets the honour of the rant. We'll hear that in the second hour.
Yeah. Just coming back to attack mode. Obviously, I heard the interview with Jev about him saying it's not fair, and I actually happen to agree with that because it seems to me like the people that have their attack mode and then there's a safety car, it seems like it's like a bit of a disadvantage.
But is it fair in Formula One, just to sit on the fence here, is it fair in Formula One that when the safety car comes out and someone who wasn't leading is now leading, gets a cheap pit stop and wins the race? Is that fair?
Because, yeah, but you could argue that, couldn't you? You could take the example then of Miami with Lando Norris then, if that's the case, couldn't you?
Yeah, of course. But that's the luck of the draw, isn't it? That's the luck of the draw.
Okay.
So, you taking your attack mode, oh, I'm really sorry, mate, you've lost all your attack mode because some numpty decided to crash or his car's broken down, and unfortunately that's you've lost it. So that could I fully get Jev's point, but I'm just throwing it on the other side of the fence here to say, well, that's racing.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
So if that's just racing, then we should all be fine with it, right? So then it's not overpowered. We're not worried about it. Attack mode is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the new attack mode, by the way. I think it's made the races more exciting, even though we've had 2 races. So, like, for an example, let's take the example of what happened with McLaren in Sao Paulo, right? And how they used their second attack mode perfectly. And it does work, and it has started to make the races more interesting.
Yep.
Like in Mexico, when Oliver Rowland had the safety car and then had I think it was like 1.5 minutes left, and then went on to win the race. And so yeah, it can be exciting. But I sort of agree with it, Jeff. But I also agree with what you say, Jack. So it's about the balance of it, isn't it?
Yep, 100%. I don't know, Pico, in terms of and what you feel in terms of if let's say we go with Jev's point, right, and then we have, let's say, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th have attack mode that they've taken, right, and they've got 5 minutes left, and then the field closes up, and then you've got first to 5th that doesn't have it, for example, then it's just, but they've still got their 5 minutes, they've got to take attack mode, so they've got to lose time to go into attack mode, the top 4, let's say, and the others have already got it and blast past them. And then you could argue, well, they can try and catch them back, but who knows? Maybe they might have a 2-minute slot, 6-minute slot, whatever the time difference is, and you just might never catch up, for example.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I understand the concerns of Jev and everyone who says that that like they are losing time. But the thing is, it is like these things do sort of happen, like, and it is luck of the draw. The thing is, I don't want to use the word luck when it comes to it, because I think it's like I think what happened with Ollie Rowland this weekend, that was strategically brilliant from the, because the thing is when the safety car came out and those there was half a dozen drivers that just taken a snap mode.
Yeah.
immediately we thought that's a disadvantage. And then when the safety car came in on the next lap, there were a couple drivers like Ollie Rowland who were able to take advantage. And and yes, I do feel for the people who had taken the 2-minute attack mode and they'd lost out on
that attack
doing
mode.
their on doing their attack mode, which is why I'm more with Jev. But it is sort of luck of the draw. Like these things.
It was lucky that
things
Roland's didn't end, so he was able to carry on because it was
Yeah,
a lap and it was
think-
over.
That's because he took.
I
6
think he
minutes.
had 1 minute and 30 on the clock. It's
Yeah.
literally as
Pretty much.
Taylor who-
I literally wrote it down.
What was really interesting is that Taylor Barnard and Norman Nato, as they came across the line at the end of the race, like it was like 3 seconds to go. Like Taylor did it. Taylor crossed the line a second after.
Yeah, second before. Yeah, so
and Norman was 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah,
and so that was cutting, and that was really really close because I was watching it with 1 lap to go, and I was thinking, and they were coming into turn 1. I was looking at Taylor. I was like, Taylor's got 1 minute 20 to go.
So he would have had to back. He would have had to back off.
No, he didn't. He didn't in the end because he was a little bit further back from where they were focusing on Roland and Acosta.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, Natalie. Before
Nikki.
Natalie, I'm not Natalie.
Sorry, God, completely forgot. My apologies. Nikki.
Daughter.
You know why? Because I'm looking at the waiting room.
Don't worry, my dad calls me that constantly.
I've got
Don't
Natalie's
worry about
name.
it.
I've got Natalie's
Don't
name.
worry, my nan called me Shirley once. It's
my apologies.
Can I just add
what did you want to add? Yeah, quickly.
Can I just have one quick point?
Yeah.
I think this year that maybe Jaguar are not going to be as strong as they are, and I truly believe that Nissan and Porsche are going to be the ones to look for. And I still stick by what I said at the beginning of the season. Maybe Oliver will be in title contention.
It's looking that way.
I truly think.
I said in testing, I don't think Jaguar are going to fight for this.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I know that's going to upset. Natalie and a lot of Jaguar fans, but
Sao Paulo was lucky.
Yep, I think
Sao Paulo was lucky.
It is.
But I truly believe if Oliver hadn't had that penalty that was technically the team's fault.
Yep.
I think that Oliver could have been sitting at the top of the championship.
Yep. Oh, could have happened. Could have happened.
Yeah.
And for me, as a bit of I do like Norman Nato. So I'm hoping that he can show his talents this year. Because it's been. I
hope so. Yeah, because
bit of a slow start.
He's so underrated. He's so underrated, and he's been in practically every team in Formula E.
Norman starts slow, then builds himself up over the course of the season. But it's been getting earlier each time because he won in his final race for Venturi. He got the podium in Rome for Nissan before he lost his ride there, and then he got the podium in Shanghai last year for Andretti. And also, just a final point, going back to McLaren. Just how well Taylor started this season as a rookie, and I think that he's one to watch for as well.
Yeah, 100%.
In the future.
He's
not necessarily this season, but maybe in the future, a future champion, maybe. Definitely.
He is doing a splendid job. But thank you, Nikki. I have to cut it there because it is 9 o'clock, and we've got our guest. But lovely having you on, and looking forward to having you on. Probably later.
Oh, I'll see you after Jeddah then.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, see you after Jeddah, boys. See you later.
See you later.
Yeah, bye. Bye.
Okay, so it's time for No Googling Part 1, but it probably will be the only part of No Googling that we will have today. So if you have not done No Googling before, No Googling, you can't Google the answer, basically, to the question. So the question is, I'll get the music. There we go. So, who are the top 3 fan boost winners? So the top 3 fan boost winners. So answer to that after this short break. And we are live with our good friend Mr. Nick Golding. Nick, how are you?
Hello. I'm not too bad, thank you. A bit cold. I'm currently in Eindhoven at the RN365 HQ, sitting on a park bench outside a pool club. And yes, it's a bit chilly.
Yes, I can imagine outside.
I'll be honest, you sound chilly.
Yeah, you sound
honestly,
like it's cold.
My rear end is a bit too much detail. My rear end is going numb. I thought I knew it'd be cold, but I thought it might be a bit warmer. Though it's actually colder than back home. Well, in my case, that's the south of England. It's 10 p.m. and it's -2.
It is colder. It's about 1 or 2 degrees. It's
yes,
not...
but my rear is going a bit chilly and a bit cold.
So your rear end might be a bit damp, and the Mexico City track was also a bit damp on Saturday.
Just a bit. Yeah,
a bit damp.
It was a little bit. Wasn't it?
But
what
some
a beautiful segue.
Yeah, I know. Teed that one up, but bum. We want to talk about because we were texting before, and you came up with some interesting topic, and obviously there was a lot of not concern, but obviously with this new tyre being a bit softer, and a lot of drivers even in testing were worried about how it would perform in the wet and if it'd be safe. And you're at the opinion that maybe wet races will struggle to have a wet race in Formula E.
I mean, we won't quite simply with the current tyres. So an interesting thing is obviously concerns were initially raised back in Harama, just following the private testing. But basically what had happened is only 2 drivers had actually tested on a wet tyre.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much they'd said it's just not drivable. So because of that, because of that, no, mate. No,
So,
sorry, mate.
Are you...
Sorry, 1 second. Oh, hold on, 1 second.
Pico.
All good.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm back now. Hello.
You're back.
Sorry, I'm back.
Back.
David.
All good. Sorry.
Back.
So I had an interesting gentleman trying to ask me some questions.
Yep. No,
So I'm back. It's all good.
Don't have a liar, mate. I'm sorry.
Had to deal with the situation. All good. So where was I? Talking about the wet stuff.
Yeah, the wet tyres.
Right. Okay. So basically, so let's begin. So in Harama, back in testing, concerns were initially raised. However, by that point, only 2 drivers had actually done any testing in the wet, and that was the Jag boys, Mitch and Nick. They both said, even back at that point, not a chance it will happen. Fast forward to Sao Paulo, and of course, we had the massive downpour on the Thursday evening.
Yep.
And it was, I've never seen rain quite like it, which obviously led to a lot of people asking, well, what are we going to do if it rains?
Yep.
I went back and spoke to the Jag boys and said, look, has anything changed? They said no. Several other drivers, one of them being Sandberg, said as well, no. If it's wet, we simply cannot race. That obviously then led to a piece on drivers raising concerns that a wet race could lead to Brazil being cancelled, obviously end up being dry.
Yep.
As we then saw in, quite a deep breath, as we then saw in Mexico City. So for pretty much then 90% of the grid, FP2 was their first experience of driving the new cars in the wet on the new tyres. And it looked awful at the start. It was, I know lap times in the end were only about, I think 20 seconds off what they were doing in FP1.
Yep.
But it was embarrassing. I think it looked almost. Apologies for this noise, by the way.
No, you're good.
It was not just slow; it was shockingly slow. There was no grip, and
it didn't look that wet.
It's the thing that's really bizarre, and I can't get my head around is how to Hankook design a softer tyre, which is still grooved and should work in all weather, but doesn't work in all weather. When it got towards the end of FP2, it was okay. There was more grip. Drivers could push a bit more. But if we get a properly wet race, if you think of London wet from season 9, not a chance that happens. To be honest, if it was to be how wet it was at the start of FP2 for a qualifying or a race, it wouldn't be safe. It's as simple as that. So drivers are going to have questions for Hankook, as are the media.
Yep.
But obviously a lot of that now won't be asked until driver briefing in Saudi Arabia.
In Jeddah, yeah, of course, yeah. So I'm surprised Hankook, knowing that this is an all-weather tyre. It's an all-weather tyre. It's supposed to run in the dry and the wet. Yeah. And if it can't run in the wet, then they've made an error in what they've done, and they need to be held accountable for. And that's why I know. And there was a Hankook press conference. Go on, say that again.
It's a weird one because ultimately, this is the last FE tie they're ever going to develop.
Yeah, 100%.
They're gone for so. Of course, they'll care, but at the same time, if they get criticism or anything, it's not really going to affect them in any way. It's not like they're going to be back in single-seater motorsport anytime soon.
I suppose.
So it's an interesting one to find. But if you look back at FE's history, thankfully, I think you can probably count on one hand how many fully wet races we've had.
Not many.
I don't think it's even we've had. I think London
Paris
might be the only
season
one.
5, obviously.
But Paris started dry, didn't it?
Yes, it did start dry.
So we've never had one apart from London.
But it did rain. It did rain properly though in Paris.
Yeah, but we've never had from start to finish one entirely wet race. Obviously, Berlin lost 2 seasons ago. We had also the fully wet qualifying.
Yep.
But it's just when you think that
red flag London was probably the only wet race that we've had. Yeah.
It's when you think that Mexico's the place where actually that there is at the majority of corners a lot of runoff.
Yep.
Looking for a Tokyo, for example, not a chance. A London, not a chance. Berlin, not. It's just they've got to find a solution now because I don't quite understand what we're going to do if we have a fully wet qualifying or race. Free practice, you can take it or leave it. The drivers can just crawl around if need to be. You look at the Jag boys; they did minimal laps. But if it comes to a qualifying on the race, what are you going to do if the drivers actually have zero grip? Jake Dennis was complaining several times, saying that there's no point even going out. It's just you're just risking locking up every time you touch the brakes.
Yep.
So again, this problem is only going to arise if we have further wet sessions. That's obviously going to be the big thing looking forward. Thankfully, that's probably not going to happen in Jeddah.
Yeah,
I will say,
that'll be good.
Like one of the things that could have made it a little bit better is if they didn't put practice on at the crack of dawn. I mean, the race start was 2 p.m. Mexican time, and this is one thing that I found sort of infuriating is that they're still advertising Formula E as a one-day format. Now, since I think the start of season 9, practice 1's been moved to Friday. And so I don't really understand why they're still advertising it as a one-day format because it's not. It is a 2-day format because practice 1's on Friday. And then they put practice 2 on at 7:30 in the morning when no one's going to get up because that's the crack of dawn. And then they'll put qualifying, which is a hugely important session, at 9:30.
Yeah.
No, who's there at 9:30?
Well, some people will be. But the thing is, the grandstands are never full. Even
it was sold out.
But by the race, it would be sold out. Yeah, 100%. By the time everyone.
I got confirmation from FE. Actually, it was sold out.
Okay. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was a record-breaking attendance for FE. Don't know the official figures. All I've been told is from FE themselves is it was sold out.
Yeah, but I get Pico. I do get your point that it is relatively early, and we have obviously seen crowds that aren't as big in the morning. And even I remember back in Berlin, we've gone on a weird segue here, tangent, but I remember practice starting once and the fans weren't even allowed in yet because the people weren't there to let them in. It was really odd.
I think the interesting thing with the wet though, when you think about, we speak about obviously Gen 4, this is all going to be brilliant for Bridgestone. Because this is going to this is the fact that the cars are getting faster, more power. In the wet, the soft side doesn't really work, but obviously in the dry conditions, it does lead to better performance.
And they wanted that monsoon tyre, didn't they?
Perfect. Yeah. This is, of course, for me, maybe this is controversial because, of course, FE's, big thing is being sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to be a truly competitive championship, both in the wet and in the dry, and in particular, not look silly in the wet, which we did at the start, for the bulk of FP2.
Yep.
I think that's where that, monsoon tyre, whether it's a wet tyre, whatever you call it, we do have. Yes, of course, that's more work for Bridgestone. Yes, of course, that's them more. That's more waste. But it makes sense. Is it worth it to make not only the race, it's
the
safer,
show,
but actually make it better? Because can you imagine if it was a wet race, if it was, the conditions were like they were at the start of FP2 for quali in the race.
Yep.
It was sold out for Orosol Stadium. With Carlos Slim and Checo's dad watching on and Effie's massive moment, it just would have been.
But it's true, even if F1's in Monaco, Monaco is a place where it
Yeah.
could rain, for example. Tokyo is probably a place where it could rain.
Well, it did.
Right?
Tokyo,
Yeah.
Tokyo was
So-
overnight.
It's not like rain is out of the question in places like Tokyo and Monaco and so forth. So
even Shanghai.
Potentially, yes, true.
Look, for me personally, and this is something that because I work at Silverstone and I get people talking to me about. I get a lot of my colleagues talking to me about Formula E because they know that I've done stuff in Formula E, and the one thing that I get a lot of is, why aren't they on slick tires? Why are they using grooved tires? And I've explained like the economical aspect of it, but the thing is, I think like what Nick said, for us to be like taken more seriously as something that was as a series that could be like competitive in the dry and the wet, for me personally, I'd like to see a move on to slicks.
The thing is, the groove tires aren't necessarily a problem if they actually work in all conditions, which is the whole purpose. If they, if they work in the wet, we don't have this conversation.
Yeah.
It's just because they simply don't. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right. For me, have slick tires and then have one set of monsoon tires that you have to keep for the entire season.
Okay.
And so whenever there's a rainy session, you have to use the monsoon tires, and if it's dry, you use the slicks.
To be fair,
that you have 2.5 sets of each weekend or something like that.
I think
make something up.
For me, I don't think we need slicks.
Jeff, put me in charge.
I don't think.
Me in charge,
I'm going to disagree with you though. I don't think we need slicks. I think the whole point of the all-purpose tire is to produce.
But it works in all purposes.
Yes, and obviously for tire manufacturers as well, then it's more road relevance for them buying tires that work well with electric vehicles and so forth. So I see that point, but I do think we do need a monsoon tire because even you might get a torrential downpour somewhere like we had in London. And then instead of a red flag, you put that tire on. But but then you should just make one set. But it's like an indestructible tire, basically. That tire, you know how Formula E tires, they had to last the whole race weekend. They could only, you had to do practice qualifying and the race on that set of tire, and then you brought that tire to practice one of the next event, and then from practice 2 you could use a new tire, for example. There was a rule like that once upon a time, and that should just be the same for the monsoon. You just bring that tire to every race event. And you only get it changed for a puncture or something like that.
Exactly.
But anyway, I feel that's enough. That's a good lot of tire chat. Who said tire chat's boring? Before we let you go, because obviously we know you're busy just back to a game of pool. So we'll only keep you for another 2 minutes.
Honestly, you're not holding me at all because I'm crap at it.
Okay.
Turns out I'm not very good.
Mate, so am I.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest either. But
I celebrated when I beat my mate the other, and I've played against him for 12 years.
Yeah, but. Attack mode. Jean-Eric Verne said earlier in the press conference, you may have obviously heard, he took the mick out of the journalists, by the way, which I did find quite funny, because no one ever talks in the press conference. It's really weird that no one really talks because everyone's saving it for the media pen.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I know why. But when he said, you must be asleep or something. Right. But obviously he had something on his chest that he wanted to get rid of, and he was hoping someone would ask him. And no one asked him, so I was like, I'll do it myself then! Which I just thought was quite funny. But he says that drivers basically should just keep the attack mode. If there's a safety car, do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree, because the thing is, though, that's just part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier.
Things. For me, it's as simple as that. I get his argument, of course, because of course, you take your attack mode to gain an advantage. There's an instant.
Yep.
You can end up losing 4 or 5 places as well as the attack mode you had.
Yep.
It's racing. Things happen. It's unpredictable. That's Formula E. In Formula E, that whenever you take attack mode, it's a risk. Even not just the only reason it's been said this season is because it's now so powerful. Last season, there were several drivers who would take attack mode, lose places, and there was a safety car, and they said nothing. It's only because now it's an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Ollie did get a bit lucky. Of course he did. If the safety car was a lap longer, he wouldn't have won the race. Simple as that. But it is what it is. I'll be honest. For me, attack mode is too powerful for me. We've gone from one extreme to the other, and I think this is too much because it is a case of effectively, if you take your attack mode last and you're at the front, and there's no safety car, you're gonna win.
Yeah.
It does. It's a weird one. I'll be intrigued what happens as the season develops and the drivers start to understand how to defend against it. That's not going to be the case in Saudi Arabia because that's probably going to be our version of NASCAR.
Yep.
But no, it's just got to get on with it, and
Yeah, 100%. And then finally, from me, Porsche, they're looking brilliant. If all things are equal, no safety cars at the end of the race, are they just unstoppable at the moment, or do you think there are, Nissan or Jaguar slightly catchable?
I don't think they're unstoppable because Nissan had the best car in Sao Paulo. It was only because obviously of the issue at the start that they let them down. I think Porsche, if you go at a pecking order, it's Porsche top, then Nissan, then Jag. Jag, I mean, I don't know if you've listened to it, obviously Nick Cassidy saying in the press conference, but Jaguar are a bit behind. He reckons they've got things coming mid-season which should bring them back. And I said to you this over text earlier, the way it's kind of started, in terms of performance, feels very, very similar to season 9 when Gen 3 started, and that Porsche came straight out of the blocks. Yes, okay, Pascal had those couple of wins from, being at 6th or 7th at the time, just because they had that energy efficiency advantage. But in terms of just outright pace, it feels really similar where you've got a Porsche, with the initial advantage. Then it looks like it's the Jags. I think Jag just had a bad weekend, to be honest. They actually had all right pace in Sao Paulo. Again, it was just obviously separate things that cost them in qualifying. It's the next couple. I think come mid-season we're going to see it close up a lot. It is just that case of the teams are still finding out so much about these brilliant new cars, and it's hard to call. Porsche have got the edge at the moment, but we've seen the last couple of seasons that actually they tend to have a little blip at some point.
Indeed.
Right. Just before we let Nick go, just going back to the bit we were on about where Jev was calling out the people in the press conference for not asking questions. I just wanted to let everyone know about in Madrid for the pre-season testing. John Jackson, who was doing the press conferences. I actually specifically had to ask if someone else wanted to ask a question because all the questions were being asked by Nick Golding and Jack Smith.
I guess who weren't in Mexico? I guess who weren't in Mexico? Both of them weren't in Mexico.
Well, I'm in Jeddah, so it's all good.
Yeah. So Muggins here put his hand up. And I never got the mic, so
I never got the mic.
Thanks for that, Nick.
You're welcome, mate. I'm always here for you.
Just blame Jev.
No.
Nick, absolutely.
I just thought I'd bring that up. No.
Well, thanks for the credit. I think that's credit. I don't quite know. I don't know if that was credit or abuse. I'm not sure. I'll decide.
It's a little bit of both.
Little bit of both. All right, we'll let you go back to Paul and unite out.
Thanks very much.
Safe travels home, and we'll see you soon.
Matey. We'll see you soon. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so the waiting room is packed, and I love it. I love that the waiting room is packed. If you haven't already, !Discord. Come join the Discord if you're new around here, and come and have your say. We've got about 25 minutes, actually 20 minutes, to get through as many people as possible.
Are you ready?
About 9:45. What we're going to do is we're going to get Chris Wharton in first.
Right. Okay.
Chris, welcome to the Febar. How are you? What would you like to say?
I'm all right, thanks.
Good.
I just wanted to touch on the element. I think that attack mode is way too powerful for this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I've calmed down a bit from Saturday.
Calm down. It really angered you. Why did it anger you so much?
It is just potluck.
But then is it the same? What I said earlier was, in Formula One, let's say Miami, Lando Norris wasn't leading the race, then Max pits, Lando leads and safety car, Lando wins the race. Is it not the same as that?
Okay, but that's gonna but in F1 that happens like once in, I don't know, let's say
A blue
12
moon.
races.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Formula E. It's gonna happen every weekend.
So, but then, you know how, I know like Porsche at this precise moment are quite strong per se. So they were 1, 2, and they were probably favourites to win that race, but due to the safety car, we got a bit of unpredictability, right? And that allowed for Roland to win the race. So is that good in a sense that something like that could happen and it could completely flip the result of the race? Is that something that should be celebrated, or is that something that should not happen?
I don't understand how it's good for the Formula E for the season if every race is going to be like Sao Paulo, like Mexico. And Mexico's hard to pass on, by the way. Like, imagine if it's Berlin.
Or Shanghai.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Like, where it's just... Like, someone could get attack mode for 6 minutes from last and be first.
I don't think it's that extreme, but I get your point.
It is that in Berlin, I think it would be that extreme.
Well, I have to see what it is. What do you think, PK?
Do you think that pit boost is going to change it at all?
Oh, good point. We haven't even talked about that.
I think I've said this since the start of Gen 3. The pit boost is essential to get that in as soon as possible. Yeah. But it's been like that since the start of Gen 3.
Yeah.
I'm not really hopeful that's going to come in anytime soon.
Well, apparently it's happening in Jeddah.
It's happening.
Apparently it's happening in Jeddah. So
every double header this year, the second race should have it.
Yeah. So
why only the second race? Isn't that? That's just
so the first race and the second race will be different.
Yeah. So it's not the same thing twice.
Why does? Okay, I understand because it's double header, but
you want them in all.
Surely
the races.
Every race should be. I
think it's a bit like the sprint race weekends at the moment in Formula 1. They're kind of trialing it, make sure that it works this season.
Yeah, but sprint race in F1 doesn't have the same point system.
I fully understand that point, but I think it's on the same basis that we'll trial it on the second race of each double header, and then if it works well, then maybe it's introduced for every single race event next season.
Do you think something should be trialed for a World Championship though? That's 25 points for race victory as well. It's not like a 5-point thing.
You could argue though that they trialed sprint races and every point matters, right? So in Formula 1, and those points still counted to the championship. So
I mean, but I'll be consistent on this. I don't like sprint races either. I still don't.
But no.
I mean, at least that's to a lesser extent.
No.
I mean, I think you can't have one race where both races give the same amount of points and then different rules for it in a championship. Like, that's just unfair.
I know.
I'm not sure if it is written in the rules that like the first race would be something and the second race would. Like, if like would you have a different opinion if every race was a double header?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It surprises me at this stage why races aren't all double headers at this point.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, no, I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either.
Why
Mexico can't be a double header?
One of them.
Mexico could be a double header. Like
always
be a double header. Like
yeah.
But then Monaco's a double header. But then I don't know.
Monaco's finally a double header.
I don't know. But then drivers weren't happy about that because it was a special event, and now you get 2 winners of the Monaco Eprix rather than 1. So I don't know. But anyway.
Why can't pit boost be in for every race?
I think
is there a reason for that? Or is it just to make
I think it's just to actually just make sure it's working.
Yeah, I literally think that's what it is. It's to make sure it's working, and then if it's broken,
but go on. Do you not think that's a problem then? If they're checking if it's working and it's for a race that's worth 25 points for a win.
As far as I'm aware, there were problems in the Madrid test, and then.
Well, there wasn't massive issues. I think it wasn't technology issues. It was manhandling issues, like chargers not being working or fitted properly or something like that. And that's why Gunther had to pit twice and went from basically the front to the back.
I
in
don't
Madrid.
know. I was running around a lot during the.
But from my understanding, from reading press conferences and reading what other people and we had written about it, is that was the sort of understanding that there was no problem with the technology. It was more about the application. If that makes sense.
All right. Yeah. I
Right.
don't know. It makes Formula E seem a bit of a lottery.
Yeah, I get that point. But then you never know. We might go on a spell now of 4 races where we don't have a safety car at the
Porsche
end.
dominate, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just Porsche's at the front, and that's what could happen. So, but who knows? I think the point's been highlighted is because we've had 2 races which have been dominated with a late safety car, which has effectively meant last man standing with attack mode has won the
doesn't
race.
that happen in almost every Formula E race though? Anyway.
Well, nah.
I feel like there's a safety car in every Formula E race.
Probably.
I'll be honest. My favourite stat is that we took 4 years to get a red flag.
So there you go.
It's mad that happened in Formula E.
Yeah. we never had any red flags ever, and then Hong Kong race 1 and Hong Kong race 2 both in 20. I want to say
16?
No, 18.
One of them.
Yeah.
And then in season 5, there's a red flag in every race, pretty much, wasn't
there?
Yeah, Paris had a red flag. Yeah, Paris had many.
Yeah, Rome had one.
Mexico had one, the Nelson Piquet crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lulz in it. Lulz.
It's
right.
Very much London buses, yeah.
Yep, Chris, well, we better let you go.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. And
You're welcome.
we'll talk to you soon.
All right, cheers, mate.
Right, should we get Rick? I can't remember if I've ever spoken to Rick Zorman. I
reckon we have.
You reckon we have?
Yeah, but it was a long time ago.
Well, let's get him back on then. I can't even remember his name. I'm going to say it's Rick. I'm going to grab him. I didn't grab him. He's now deafened. So I'm going to Sam. I think we've spoken to Sam before. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the Febar. What would you like to say?
I think more so just expanding on points already made.
Go on.
That Nick and Co have made. First of all, the wet FP2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna echo some thoughts. I think it to be 15 to 20 seconds off in, let's call it damp.
Yep.
Like
it was damp.
You know, it
wasn't wet.
It was damp, of course. Yeah, you could see spray.
But I wouldn't expect in that amount of time difference.
Of course.
I'll be honest. I'm going to sit out of this. I did not watch.
No, I didn't watch it either. But I saw highlights. Like I saw the track, and I was like, it's actually not as wet as It's not as wet as I thought it was.
Yeah. To be fair, it wasn't much use anyway. So, and it's like, it seems in some ways. I mean, I'm just going to say this in general. The pace was just kind of shocking, if we're being honest, and the all-weather tyre thing now gets called into massive question.
Yep.
Really.
Which is not great for Hankook, I must admit.
Yeah, it's not a great look at all.
But the good news is they've been doing press conferences, and I said to me, and obviously I wasn't there, and Nick wasn't there, and I said, well, normally the tyre press conferences are not that interesting, and we don't really. It's like, well, what do you want to say? But now it feels like they're an interesting conversation at this precise moment in terms of what's going on with that tyre. So I said, if they do one in even I should be in Miami, but Nick said he'll be in Jeddah. If they do one in Jeddah, I'm sure he'll ask the question about what is going on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the only thing is that I mean, two things. One, with the tyres, you can't really do anything immediate because of, if you change it mid-season, then that's the tyres changed mid-season, and it's not great for the teams. So I guess if there is going to be any fix, for the final year, if Hankook do actually want to do that next year, fair enough, because then it's a fresh start.
Yep.
But I'm not holding out any hope really with the way Hankook have managed it so far.
And also, as Nick said, it is their last 2 years, and after these last 2 years, then Bridgestone take over. So, are they going to spend all this money to make a tyre when they've already got one, and they're losing the rights, which is, interesting. I remember Jasmine, who is part of the Formula E team now, she interviewed
Yeah.
Hankook about the prospect of them going for the tender at that time, because basically for the Gen 4 tire it was, and Hankook seemed quite positive that we're going to go, we'll put in our application for, so they did put in an application to do it, but for whatever reason Formula E decided to go with Bridgestone. I think they went with Bridgestone to say, oh look, we brought Bridgestone back to motorsport. So I think I also think the good news story there in terms of that, so maybe that might have had a small element to them bringing Bridgestone back and having, because Bridgestone was synonymous, I think is the right word, with Formula One and Ferrari back in the day.
Yeah.
I think that's the right word. So to bring that into Formula E, I think for a marketing type of thing, I think that's why they did it.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I think there's quite a lot of interest from Asia and like Japan at the minute, with Yamaha coming in and obviously having the Tokyo race, so it's kind of good time.
Yep.
But also my second point I was going to get to is in terms of just if we do get wet weather and it's manageable / safe, the gaps between teams is massive. If that was, because they were doing laps, because saying, I think Nick said that, and yourself said that teams haven't had much running, in wet conditions with this tire. So being out there was important, because nothing's going to change if there's going to be a wet session, be it damp, and again safe, they're going to have to run it. And I think a lot of the team software, you could see the massive differences if that's somewhat genuine. I mean, Jaguar seemed miles. I think they probably were the worst from the sorts of quotes I've seen from the radios that have been taken. It just doesn't look good for them. So I think that's just another observation in terms of the wet weather stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he said it was like, and plus Nick and Mitch are quite vocal, especially on the race, especially Nick Cassidy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Especially Cassidy. He does love a good moan, does Cassidy. He does enjoy it. Sam, we're going to have to let you go, though, because we've got to try and squeeze so many people in before our next guest comes on. But thank you so much for calling up again. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll hear from you soon.
Yes. Talk to you guys later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Should we try
Rizorm
again?
What I will say is
Rick
that
Zorn?
whilst this has been going on, I've been watching FP2.
Oh.
And I just thought I'd just put it on just to see what it's like. And it sort of looks like, if we were judging it to F1 conditions, sort of Inters / FIA will schedule next update in 15 minutes, sort of, because that's what.
Well, you thought it was quite wet then?
No, that's just what FIA do.
Oh.
Cheers.
Right,
Sean.
so I think we'll go. I want to hear from Rizorm, or Rick Zorm.
Yeah.
Rick. I'm going to ask for his name because is it
Ricardo?
Ricardo?
Yeah, it's Ricardo. I sent you a message.
I did see, but I couldn't see it. Hello, Ricardo. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
I'm good.
How are you?
I'm good. Very good. Thank you so much for coming on to the FE Bar. Massively appreciate it. What would you like to talk about?
Well, it's good to be back. Of course, I
did.
think I was here like 5 months ago. 5 months ago.
I'm trying to remember.
No, I think it was before London. I think I don't know.
Well, it's a long time ago.
It was a long time
but
ago.
Welcome back.
But
it's lovely to have you back.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. But yeah, I think the start of the season has been good. We of course we have this debacle with attack mode being too overpowered or not. Yeah. For me, I think it can be because we had season 9 and 10 with attack mode being just non-existent.
Yep.
The advantage, let's say. But I think people are forgetting how attack mode was meant to be since season 5 through 8. So the Gen 2 era of the attack mode. So the attack mode was meant to be you go off track and then you get an advantage. So it's like a 70-30, let's say, win or loss. And I think because people got so much of the peloton races, I think people are forgetting how attack mode was meant to be. And yes, it can be deceiving by how powerful it is. but we just have to see, because we saw São Paulo, it was a peloton race, and we saw this year we had so much so many variety. It wasn't like it was 50-50, let's say a Gen 2 typical race and then a peloton race, but it wasn't a similar to season 9 and 10 races. So yeah, but yeah, I think the way it is now, it can be good, but of course, if we saw like for example, in Mexico, if we saw like Nick Cassidy, for example, going from the back of the grid to first just because he gained 15 places by just using attack mode, then yes, we can say it is too OP.
Yep.
Let's say, but we didn't see that. Mexico is a difficult track to pass.
Yep.
And I think it is, and we had this drama with Roland.
Yep.
And being Portuguese, of course, I was pissed off at first because the Costa didn't get to win just because of 1 minute of attack mode.
Yep.
And yeah, but I think it's good for now. Let's say we have some new tracks, some more races to run, and we'll see.
Yep, 100. Well, I want to talk about Da Costa. I'll ask a question about Da Costa because I think he's on fire. Like, I know he's just consistent, and Da Costa's been very good. And ever since the Mazzano, he's been consistent, and he's continued that into this season. And obviously, with Porsche being as strong as they are, surely I think he can push Verline, and already he's got a comfortable lead ahead of Verline, 37-21. I've got the championship standings here. I put it up because I forgot to show it, and I might as well show it because I made it. But he's got 37 points. Pascal Verline there in 21. Like, he's already got a decent cushion, and if that car is quick, then he's got a good shot for the championship.
Yeah, I'd say that too. I think it's too early, to be honest. But yeah, because the last 2 years we had Jag on the back foot in the first 3 rounds, maybe 1, 2, and they came back guns blazing from the mid part of the season to the end. But yeah, Porsche are very good, both Verline and Da Costa, not just Verline at the start of the season like it was season 9 and 10, but now Da Costa, because I think as the races are now, I think they are let's say a style of race more suited to the Da Costa we saw like in season 9 and 10. We saw that Da Costa was coming back stronger and stronger on peloton races where the field was not so spread up, like we saw last year in Mexico and Diria. It was far off. Yeah, Porsche didn't have it was the best car, but not like it is now. But yeah, I think Da Costa is building something that Pascal, that Holly, Jake Dennis, and some other drivers need to be careful. If Da Costa goes on with this momentum through Jeddah and through the race, I think even if Da Costa doesn't win a race until like the last portion of the year, if he continues like this, I think it's going to be unstoppable. But yeah, it's Formula E. Everything can happen.
Anything can happen. That's the beauty of it.
And yeah, we got so many good tracks. Berlin, Shanghai.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's a very good perspective. And being Portuguese, I'm very excited because it has been a good start of the year from Antonio. But we'll see. Pascal is very strong. He just didn't sort out the races. All is there or thereabout. But we'll see. Yeah.
Portuguese Eprix? Where could we have it?
Well, as long as the government allows to, but but I don't know. I like to see a Portuguese Eprix like in Lisbon or Porto or something like that. It would be great. I think Formula E is begging for a Formula E Eprix in Portugal. But we'll see. We got Tokyo, we got Jakarta. Why not Portugal?
Why not Portugal? Portugal's a lovely place. I've never been to Portugal, but if Formula E went, I'd definitely be going. Put it that way. And I think Formula E need more European cities anyway. We don't have enough, I think.
Yeah, I think we've got 3 or 4 races per continent.
Monaco, yeah.
Yeah, we got Monaco. Maybe I think a race in Spain on a city track like well, F1 is going to Madrid in 2026, so why not Formula E?
Why not?
Maybe to Barcelona, for
Even
example.
I think even Catalonia. I think maybe with the Gen 4 cars, maybe Catalonia could be something that Formula E looks at. But Ricardo, we kind of have to let you go because I could talk to you all day. But do phone back again. Do come back again. Lovely chatting to you, and we'll hear from you soon.
Yeah, thank you to all. Thank you.
Bye. Right. Two things. We're going to have Jack Smith on in 2 seconds. I didn't answer the fan boost question, and I've known this for a very long time, and I've been sitting on it, and I've still forgotten. So the answer to the no Googling question was, obviously, first was Stoffel Van Dorn, who got 55 fan boosts in 55 races. Second was Lucas de Grassi, who had 53 from 100 races. And third is De Costa, who also has 53 from 96 races that he has entered in. What we're going to do then, so we've got still in the waiting room, we've got Chris, Natalie and Saz. I'm going to try and get you all on. We're probably going to go Natalie, Chris, Saz, because we love ending with Super Saz, and lovely happy way to end the show. So we're going to get Jack Smith on from Motorsport Week. Jack Smith, and he is with us now. How are you?
Hello, good boys. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm good. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well. Yeah.
Happy New Year. How was your Christmas?
Happy New Year.
And to you. Yeah, it was all right. I was just pining for an Eprix, and thankfully I got one this weekend.
You got one? Well, yeah. Well, you were at the last one in Brazil.
Yeah, I got you out of Jaffa Cake. So who's the real winner? Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk Formula E in terms of what you thought about.
Talking Formula E.
You wanted to talk about Lola, which I thought was quite interesting. So I'll let you go off about Lola. What would you like to talk about?
Lola, I think we need to give them a huge deal of credit. They only took delivery of a Gen 3 Evo car last April, so in effect they're about 2 years behind everyone else. Yet they're able to have a car that can get into the top 10 of qualifying. I think it's quite impressive, particularly that they've cobbled together basically 3 different groups of personnel. The Lola, the Yamaha, and the Apple groups all come together, and they obviously don't have quite the race pace yet. But I think it's mightily impressive what they're able to do, and the fact that Zane Maloney, who is in effect the only true rookie on the grid, is I think he's smashing it. I think the boy's very special indeed.
Oh no, he's doing a good job, especially in qualifying. I was very impressed. With Zane.
He was running about as high as 5th in Brazil at one point, and he was a bit disappointed that things didn't quite go his way. But I think if they can get that car hooked up in a particular race, or if they can actually get pretty good at pit boost, then who knows what they're going to be able to do in a race. And I think Zane's perfectly placed to do that, particularly in Jeddah, because I think he's probably the only one that knows the track well.
Yeah.
Him and Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know if you managed to find out the answer because we were talking earlier. I didn't, in terms of Lucas de Grassi. I'm going to assume he must have missed an attack mode and must have not hit all the sensors to miss his first one because...
No, he didn't take it.
Yeah, I didn't take it. Okay, so he completely missed it. No, I know he didn't.
No.
I know he didn't take his second one, but why he went that far into the race without taking his first one?
Because he was going to use them all at the end.
Yeah, I think he was waiting because some people took it towards the end and benefited from it. I mean, I think that was Mitch's plan. And then, of course, he ran into the back of Muller, who just slowed right down. Taylor took his, and it worked to good effect had he not had the time penalty.
Yeah.
I think Lucas was just biding his time, but unfortunately, he bided it for too long.
Safety cars didn't help him.
The safety cars didn't, but that's the thing about Formula E.
The second safety car, when that came out, he was only entering the stadium section, so he couldn't take it in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just didn't fall his way. So whereas it fell his way for Roland, it didn't fall de Grassi's way. It's amazing. Attack mode giveth one, but take away the other.
Exactly. It's just this is the nature of Formula E, isn't it? You have to be an opportunist, and you have to be a little bit lucky. And Ollie was both. You know, he deserved the win. Um, I'm sure he would admit himself he got a little bit lucky by taking the lead and then getting the second safety car come out at the right time for him.
Yeah.
But you know, he benefited well, and it makes up for what went wrong in Brazil. And the fact that Nissan had to take some extra track time in between these two races to get the bug sorted, it evidently paid off. As annoying as it was for them to have that extra track time, it's paid off, and it puts him firmly in title contention. It seems.
No, indeed with Oliver. I wanted to talk to you about Pit Boost actually. Because you were in Sao Paulo, and it seems like they tested it in shakedown, or did some simulations of it. I came up with the idea, and I remember discussing with you that it should be, maybe they should have done it also into practice sessions. And one way people maybe get to see the Pit Boost for fans, might get to see it, and it gets shown on TV, so we kind of get used to it. In a sense, I don't know if you were surprised that it wasn't rolled out into practice sessions, but do you think two shakedown sessions is enough for Pit Boost to go into Jeddah, which we will be using it in the second race, for everybody, because they harped on about us last season about, it's got to be ready, it's got to be ready, it's got to be ready. And we've done it in testing, and we've done it in 2 shakedown sessions. I thought they could have used more. Do you think it's ready? What murmurs have you heard, if any, about Pit Boost going into Jeddah?
Well, it's a curious one, isn't it? I think that there's probably a feeling within the hierarchy of Formula E. I imagine that we've got to get it done, otherwise it's never going to happen.
Yes.
So I think they're going to push. You know, they're pushing for it, and they're going to get it. And I think it's probably going to be a case of putting the ball in the court of the teams now, because if it's going to sort of catch everyone out, the fact that we've not practiced it to a huge degree, we are sort of going into the unknown and in the dark a little bit when we get to Jeddah about how exactly it's going to work and how successful it's going to be.
I still don't know how it's going to work. That's the hilarious thing. I know how it's going to work. Like, it's 30-second pit stop. I thought would they add time, but it's only the 10%. But it's interesting to see what they do with the battery power and how much is available and how long the race is actually going to last. Like, I still feel, I don't know about you, but I still feel like I'm in the dark about that. Like, I don't really know what to expect, or how the race format is going to look with Pit Boost.
No, I mean, the thing is of course we've had this season in 2 races, we've seen how potent attack mode has now become with the all-wheel drive, because it was pointless before, and now it actually is something quite worthwhile, and in fact it's very powerful indeed when it's being used. So we don't know how it's going to look, how Pit Boost is going to look when it's working in conjunction with that. But I'm going to surmise, and if I was to view this from the point of view of a team that was towards the back of the grid, I would try and practice being as good at Pit Boost as possible, because it's going to be where they can get quite a lot out of a race and actually sort of get the jump on a car that's faster. I think that's really where races are going to be won and lost, and actually where we're going to see the order shaken up even more than it already can be, depending on the type of circuit and the effectiveness of the attack modes and how lucky someone might get when they get used.
And also, one thing that I want to point out is because they sat there for 30 seconds, and I'm not sure whether it's just going to be like you can only plug it in, that's the only thing that you can do to the car. But if that's not the only thing that you can do to the car, we spoke so much about Mexico City, where tires were on the limit because they're going around the Peraltada. The left side, the left-hand tires were sort of on the limit by the end of the race. Would if they were able to change the tires during that, would that be like a bigger advantage?
This is a good question, actually, and this is one I'm going to try and find out and endeavour to get the answer to, because what other circuits are we going to have where the tyres are really going to get tested when it's a double header? Obviously, Monaco is very twisty and it's very tight, so you could look at that one.
Yep.
You've got Berlin as well, which
this track
is
surface. The track surface is going to kill those soft tyres.
the surface, yeah, is going to kill it, and the fact that it's got some slightly twisty elements, but the fact that it's quite a fast circuit as well in places.
That last corner at Berlin as well. That's like it's. I don't want to say it's a Turkey turn 8, but it's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you and I did the track walk, didn't we, in London, and we saw what that first bit indoors was like when you came back out and then back in again. That was not smooth at all. So it's you're looking at one like that, a surface like that as well. So it's going to be interesting, and of course Tokyo's another one, because it's that I think is probably going to be the last of the true old style Formula E tracks. So having to see what the tyre wear is like on that as well.
Heat might be a big issue as well, and just like ambient temperature. That's what I mean. Like if we go to a place, let's say Tokyo at this point is boiling, or Shanghai is boiling, or even Berlin. Berlin can be super hot.
Berlin in July, yeah.
Yeah, so ambient temperature could play a big factor in also the tyres in itself. We've had lots and lots of tyre chat today. I wanted to move on quickly. Attack mode. We'll talk to it about you. Do you think it's overpowered? What's your thoughts on attack mode at this precise moment?
Do you know what? It's very interesting you say that, because I just did the Motorsport Week podcast I recorded earlier today, which hopefully should be out tomorrow or the day after, and we talked about this. And yes, it does seem it seems maybe you could construe it as being a bit too far the other way now, whereas before it didn't seem to be effective, and it was something that was actually something the drivers were hanging on to take at a certain point. Whereas now they take it and it's just a free run to go gung-ho and overtake whoever you like. But I think if you're looking from a driver's perspective, they would much rather be happier for it to be like this and how it was before.
Yeah.
And Formula E, it's as I said before, it's not, there is a luck element, and there is also the element of opportunism.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would rather have it like this than how it was before, because having it the way it was before was basically pointless. So I think having it very powerful, as it seems to be now, is preferable to the way it was last season.
Fair enough. Right, Mr. Smith, we'll let you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on, as usual.
No problem.
Love finding out the extra information. And you're going to Jeddah, so enjoy Jeddah. Get the good gossip.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
And I'll hopefully see you in Miami if you're out going to Miami. So fingers crossed on that.
Yes, hopefully, yes. Keep an eye out on motorsportweek.com in the next few days. I'm hoping there's going to be hopefully is a nice little exclusive. I'm sitting on one at the moment. I'm just kind of waiting on a few things. Hopefully it will be out in the next sort of 1 to 3 days.
Perfect. There you go, Motorsport Week. One of the places to be. Thank you very much for coming on, and we will speak to you soon.
Yes, speak to you soon, chaps.
See you later. Night.
Cheers. Right.
Okay then. So
no.
What are you gonna do?
I have some big news. My 6-a-side football team that plays on Monday nights. That they've not just won part of the squad tonight,
and they've lost.
We've won our first match.
Oh!
We've won our first match. So up the hangabouts, get in.
Well done. You need me in goal. If you're me in goal, you'll start winning every week, mate.
Oh yeah. No, just casually come up to Toaster every Monday night.
I play on a Monday, so that's a problem in itself. That's quite funny that we're playing five-a-side at the same time as. What time does your five-a-side start? Like, what time's your earliest kickoff? What's your latest kickoff, and what's your earliest kickoff?
Latest kickoff is 9:15. I think the earliest we've had is like 7:15, 7:45.
Okay, the earliest kickoff for me is 6:20, but the latest is 8:30.
Yeah.
So on a Monday night.
But
But anyway,
no, honestly,
we haven't done much
super
haircut
proud,
chat. I'm a bit.
Yeah, congrats to the boys.
I'm a bit sad on haircut
I'm
chat.
super proud of the team. So yeah,
well done.
Great job.
It was a great performance out there. We took our chances. What was it? Someone.
You know what? Like each week, I mean, like we should do like a little like interview afterwards, and they've won on the week I'm not there, so we can't do the interviews.
Someone.
Oh, do you know what?
I was listening to Talk Sport the other day, and I think it was Ray Parler. They were talking about like politics or something, and he gave like the most like football, related interview for like a politics style like question. If that like they didn't take their chances on like raising tax and so forth, so they didn't take their chance. Like something like that. It was really random, but it was quite funny. I can't remember off the top of my head now. It was hilarious. Right, let's get these last callers.
We need more people in home education.
Yeah, we need more people.
If we went for a 4-3.
If we just played through the lines a little bit, maybe the economy would be in a better place.
Get Gareth Southgate.
Unfortunately, it was the fine margins, and the fine margins went away on tax increases rather than tax decreases.
Right.
Fine margins.
Right.
Anyway, let's get Natalie in.
Through the last few.
Because I know Natalie wanted to talk, but it was really nice that we managed to have a lot of new people in. Actually, David Wicks, before we just speak to Natalie, David made a really good comment actually about attack charges. If the race finished under safety car, how would they reallocate attack mode? Which I think is a really good point, because if they do Vern's way and they stop and they all finish under safety car, then what happens to all those drivers that finished under attack mode? Do they get disqualified? That was a really good point.
Yeah,
but Natalie.
Firstly, take Jack's lower third down.
Oh yeah.
That's still up. And yeah, we'll get Jack or Nick to find that out in Jeddah.
Really interesting. So Natalie, welcome to the Febar.
Hello.
How are we?
Yeah, good.
What would you like to talk about?
Just before we start, can I clear up a little issue? Can I use the word penis to talk about a certain Dutch driver?
Well, you've done it now.
Yeah, that on the shorts.
It is a body part, I suppose. I don't know. I feel like if that was on Talk Sport, that would have been dumped. I think that would have been dumped. I think that would have been dumped.
You'd be out.
Yeah, I think that would be dumped.
Jonas would be apologising for everything.
Maybe use a less.
I mean, it's nothing worse than what I've said tonight.
You know when it's like you want to say the word offensive, but then I'm like, but I'm teaching my year ones, for example, that word. So how is it offensive? But then that's the world we live in.
Call him a dick.
Anyway, right, just be nice about it. Go on.
Say that it was an utter.
Anyway, we don't even know the context. Corin,
I know the context.
I think we both do, because she was hinting at it. But here we go.
It's not Robin France, and I'll leave it at that.
Poor Robin.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's his teammate, but no.
What would you like to say?
Nick de Vries's driving standards. How is he allowed to get away with it and be such a penis about it? And because the penalty Sam got, should it have been Nick's?
What the penalty Sam got?
I was surprised Sam got that penalty. I was very surprised. I didn't think it was a penalty.
I was amazed.
No, me neither.
I think your action should more be at the FIA. I thought that was a racing incident.
No, I thought that was a ridiculous penalty. The thing is, Nick deserved the 3-place penalty for impeding equality.
Yeah.
I don't understand Sam's one in the race. That was like a little. There was a little love tap. That's all it was.
I didn't think Sam had. I know they're clamping down on it though. They are massively clamping down on those little touches, because in the past they got away with it, and the drivers have called for tougher penalties in Formula E, and that's where that controversy of Mitch Evans, which I still kind of think was a penalty in Portland, mainly, but then
I think
with Jake Hughes, but
Portland last year, Jake's penalty was a racing incident. And I'm not saying that because I'm a McLaren fan. I'm saying it how I see it.
Yeah, but I thought it was a penalty. if I did that on the road, it's my fault.
Yeah.
If I did that on the road, it's my fault because I was the guy behind, right? So if I did that on the road,
this is race. This is
it's a penalty. It's my fault. So I thought he drove into the back of him. Therefore, it's his fault. But anyway.
Yeah, but going back to Sam and De Vries.
Mm-hmm.
Edo got on the radio and said it was Nick that hit him.
Yep.
So I am very surprised that Sam got the penalty for Nick's idiocracy.
The thing is, the thing is, Edo thought that Nick hit him, but it was Sam.
Yeah.
It was Sam that hit Edo, not Nick.
Not Nick, yeah.
Alright.
But
Sam definitely made contact, otherwise he wouldn't have got a penalty.
But the thing is that the tap wasn't penalty worthy in my eyes.
No.
I didn't think it was worth a penalty. It was just a little nudge. It was just rubbing racing. I didn't think it was worth.
The thing is, Formula E is the most rubbing is racing single seater planet. So, I mean, and also like everything's more sturdy this year. It's not like last year where you touched the front wing and it disintegrated. But yeah, so yeah,
I'm just very surprised.
Yep.
But Sam's
just a penalty. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. I will say though, if you cast your mind back to season 8, and I remember this clearly because I was in Seoul, that Costa came over the radio and had a moan at De Vries and said,
"Yeah,
if that guy's going to Formula 1, he's got a different thing coming."
Yeah.
No.
And
it was the same. It was the same in London when Nick moved under braking 5 laps in a row in front of Nick Cassidy, and the FIA did nothing about it until 3 hours after the race.
Indeed.
That should have been an instant penalty.
Yeah.
Which year was that? I can't remember.
Season 8.
Yeah.
Was it 8 as well?
I was on the podium that day, Pico. Come on.
I did too many races in season 8. They all blur together.
Right, Natalie, we've got to call it.
That's fine.
We've got to call it. But thank you so much for sticking around. I know you've been in there for a while.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed the show.
I have.
Splendid. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Ciao, ciao. All right, let's get Chris in. Hi, Chris.
Thanks for waiting.
Thanks for waiting.
No worries at all. How are we both doing?
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
How do you get your haircut?
Oh, yeah, it's got to be two on the side and just take the weight off the top. Quite like having a bit of a fringe.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Any interesting conversations with any barbers? Anything that springs to mind?
Not really. I say most of them are Turkish these days. I'm not sure. Well,
are they selling you where to go get your teeth and your hair done?
Have you had your beard burnt off yet? Or
No, that was the thing I was going to mention. They did my nose hairs.
Oh, that's
your nose hairs. Was that with fire or was that with like the
they
wax?
do that
with the wax.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wax, and they put it both in. I could barely breathe.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They literally
you do have a mouth.
fill your nose with wax and pull it out very quickly.
Yeah, but you get used to breathing in through your nose.
Yeah,
like,
you just
breathing in through your mouth is so.
I don't know if I breathe through my. I do breathe through my nose. That's a stupid question, but but it's like I feel like I don't know which one I do more. It's really weird. You never think about breathing. It's mad how the human body works. Anyway, what would you like to talk about?
Well, firstly, I'll congratulate Jack's team for winning.
Yeah, my team won as well. I've just had a text that my team won today without me in goal.
But it's not your first ever win. This is our first ever win. We've been doing this since October, November. Yeah, this is our first win, and I'm super pumped for the hang of it.
So it's the.
Thank you, Chris.
So the fans are going, how must you be?
Yes.
We lose every week. We lose every week. Anyway.
I think I'm going to say something controversial in that I love this sort of racing style. I think it is how it should be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been bad. I don't think it's been bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I think people have been quite harsh on it because we've only had 2 races.
Yep.
It's what is it? What was it that you used to say a few seasons ago? Yeah, Formula E is unpredictable.
Yep.
It's
unpredictable.
Not. Yeah, it's not about the individual race weekends.
Yep.
If we want to find out who the best racing driver was each weekend,
Mhm.
we send them out for 3 hours. Whoever sets the fastest lap wins.
Yep.
But that would be incredibly dull to watch.
Yeah, and boring. Yeah.
So we've only had 2 races, and I don't think that's helped perception so far because there has been a lot of bad luck. But there will be bad luck throughout the season, and it will cancel out. I mean, Ollie Rowland has had
quite a
one
fair
win taken
share of
away
bad luck.
and one win gifted to him.
Yep.
It's for me, it's about using the right.
But throughout the race. But throughout the race, like when Dennis came up from like 6th, 7th up to the lead, and then stuff like that, and it was still quite entertaining to watch.
Absolutely, and I'm going to say this, like Degrassi probably could have had a chance at top 5 finish if it wasn't for those safety cars.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially, I know it would have been 27. Yeah, 27-second penalty. I think obviously I've listened to everybody else on it. I just think they've been incredibly harsh, especially being at only 2 races. I think over a season it's going to cancel out, and it's otherwise you just end up with the same. Otherwise, you end up F1 last year, where you get one driver winning every race because the best driver and the best car. Let's have a bit of unpredictability because you can say the same thing about qualifying. How many times does a driver have the second fastest lap in the semis, or even in bloody quarters, and they're knocked out?
Indeed.
They're locked in.
Yeah.
So that's obviously controversial opinion. I love it. Don't change it.
I think it's been good.
We've never had a championship decided before final location. I say final location because in I think season 6, Costa won it with 2 races to go. So he won it in Berlin, but it was there was a final 2 races. There was a final 2 races on the extended lap, whereas every other one has gone down to the final weekend. So the unpredictability from DNA, and it's just another little thing that's added into it now, which I enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. I completely agree. I love it. I think it is so much better than how it was season 9, season 10.
Yep. Right. I'm going to cut it short, mainly because
absolutely.
We've got to try and get Saz on.
There's something wrong with the stream.
Yeah, something's
Jack.
wrong. Something is wrong. Yep. The stream is struggling.
I'm like 5 frames a minute.
The stream is struggling. We did have a brief disconnect during your conversation. But we have reconnected. But the audio seems to be fine. I will take. Me
and Chris have had a lovely time.
Don't worry. This is live. We're not live. We are live. It's just the call for whatever reason struggled. It's probably saying you should have finished 15 minutes ago. What are you doing? So I'm going to try and get Saz in for a quick 1-minute chat, and then we'll call it there while the stream's struggling.
No worries at all. I was just happy enough chatting to Jack.
Yeah. Sorry, that's why I disappeared. And you might think, where did I go? Because I completely, I completely lost. I was very happy you two were still talking, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it's quite I've ever heard you on a stream.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to move on. I don't know what the problem is with Pico. Anyway, Chris, I'm just going to drop you down.
It's your internet.
Yeah, my internet. I don't know what's happened.
I reckon it's your internet.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I'm happy that I'm quite smooth. I don't know what to do, but Saz is in. I'm gonna just do something for 2 seconds. Actually, I'm not. Let's just get Saz in. Saz, how are you? Pico's just a blur at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I can see Pico, and you're not a blur, Pico.
Thank you. Exactly, which means it's Jack's internet.
Yeah, my internet. So, what would you like to say, Saz? And hopefully, people hear you.
Oh, I hope they can hear me too, because yes. Well, first of all, nice to be back. And in the change from attack mode and tyres, although I totally have opinions on those, but I'm going to talk about Andretti, because I'm trying to work out if this is just unlucky coincidence or if there's something happened. Because in Mexico, Jake's car